WBOB in Rhode Island, of all places. And live video on Twitch, YouTube, the Facebook, everything else. And we have got our next guest joining us. Erikka, how are you, my friend?
How's it going? So we finally meet.
We have got a great guest joining us today here on our broadcast, and it's almost like we should just name this show Perv Magnet Sunday, because we have perv magnets all around. We have got a great guest with us. Erikka, how do we find you online, my friend?
You can go to Twitter at Erikka with 2 Ks, Rikes, R-I-J-K-S, or look for Erikka Ryko XXX. Just to fill you in, there was a pre-pandemic, I had a box cover come out, and they fucked up my name. So I've had to rebrand a lot. It's really fucked a lot of things up, but I take it in stride, and
that's awesome.
Yeah, it kind of adds to the whole story, I've had to suffer a little bit more than other talents in the industry, but it's definitely got me some notoriety, and
that's great.
They went up play on it.
Well, Erikka Ryko is with us. She is fantastic. She is she is busier than a ferret in a jello fight. And she joins us today here on our broadcast. We also have the bunny with us. Lena, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm happy to meet you, Erikka. This is an awesome show.
Now
I mean,
the bunny today has decided to go gangster. She's got her do-rag on there, and
what I do, Erikka, is either you look really nice, really dressed up, or one time I dressed down. It's raining. My hair. What else do you want?
It's raining out there in Olympia, Washington. So Erikka, are you in Los Angeles?
I am indeed in Los Angeles. Yes.
Los Angeles, as the great Tom Likas.
Los Angeles. Yes.
Right.
LA woman. Yeah. I'm not from here. I mean, I've lived all over now at this point. Yeah, but it's I've always had a love-hate thing with Los Angeles. So
that's awesome. I am gonna try, and I don't know if we're gonna be able to get him in here. He was supposed to join us. Mr. Frank Catolo was supposed to be with us today, but I don't know where the hell Frank is. Frank, of course, as everybody knows, was in a Hollywood movie at one point. I think he was in Meteor. I think is what he was in.
Hey, it's early, isn't it?
No, it's not. It's.
I'm here.
You're here, which is good because you're here with the fantastic Erikka Ryko is with us, and
fantastic doesn't begin to describe what I'm looking and seeing. How come I'm repeating on myself here?
It's probably Skype. I would almost assume.
Okay.
Do you have headphones, Frank? You might be able to get rid of that
echo
I do. If you have headphones on. If you plug those in, sometimes they get rid of the echo. But Erikka, you are quite the little perv. How did you get into this business, this adult business?
It goes back quite a long time ago. I went to my first AVN back in 2002. And
I think that was the year I got banned from the AVNs was 2002.
Wow.
But I got reinstated. I was a good boy. They let me come back. But
yeah, if you're good, they'll let you. Yeah, they'll let you back, unless you're Ron Jeremy.
Unless you're Ron J. That's right, because Ron Jeremy he got booted from the from the AVNs, and then someone wanted to there was a sponsor that wanted to buy a booth and just have him at their booth, and they're like, no, we just won't even sell you the booth.
Well, the only thing publicly I'll say about him is that I did see him a lot. I mean, we have a lot of mutual friends, and I would see him at the Rainbow quite a bit when I was in town. So, I'm just gonna say that. You know, I try to be very neutral.
I'll tell
it's a very
you,
touchy subject, but
when all that stuff happened with Ron,
Mhm.
I remember the first time I met him at an AVN, and he was just sitting there at his booth, and he was signing autographs, and there was all these women coming over there, and
Mhm.
I understand porn marks and actual porn people are completely different, but these porn marks are like taking photos and reaching his pants and doing all the stuff, and I'm like, the fans are worse than the.
Well, yeah, definitely. And I would see a lot of that, even, when we were out, say at the Rainbow or the Whiskey or wherever, and, he's that kind of guy. And the funny thing is, when I worked in mainstream, and we'll get more into that.
Yes.
I mean, I remember seeing him at the American Film Market, and he was kind of, I guess marking himself out a little bit, and then an after party, everybody was like laughing at him, and it was like a whole different realm than what he's used to, yeah, I don't think it's going to end well for him right now.
No.
Oh.
But to go back to that, I mean, it's funny. I have this one image, and I need to digitize it, but. I have this picture of me and Al Goldstein. I'm sitting on his lap.
Oh my God, Al Goldstein.
God, I haven't heard that name in years.
I know.
I don't know if I'm gonna save it for like Throwback Thursday or something. I'll figure it out. But I know I'm gonna be. I've been during the pandemic. I did a lot of digitizing. I'm also a photographer, so yeah. I mean, you have to keep busy, but yeah. So it goes back there, and I was good friends with Bill Margold. And
wow.
Yes, and we we just certain people hit it off, and then so after that we went back to LA, and he and Gloria Leonard, and I have pictures of that night where they had their hand implant in the Hollywood Hustler Hall of Fame, and it was Gloria Leonard was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, as a personality and very gracious, and
that's awesome. So Catolo, what kind of questions do you have for Erikka Ryko?
Is that your set behind there?
No, this is my house here.
Are those bedposts?
No, they're like giraffes or leopards,
That's pretty badass.
Let's take a little look.
If you're watching us on social media, or you're watching us on our websites, this is pretty cool.
And here's my dog. He's actually humping the fucking furniture right now. Check this out. I told you I was gonna give you a good show. Look at that.
That dog would be necking with your giraffes.
So that's just to give you an idea.
Can we get like a full view of you, Erikka? Because I'm picturing. Are you tall? You were a model before you started.
Yeah. I'm actually around 5'7", but
nice. Legs. I'm thinking legs. She's got to have legs.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Oh, see?
There's one right there.
There's one right there.
I still keep my flexibility. It's funny because I'm in this industry and I'm like 51 right now. And it's like.
Oh my gosh, you do not look 51.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Oh,
what is 51 supposed to look like? I don't get this.
Like me right now.
Yeah. Like, what is 51 supposed to look like?
I'm at the point where I think everything's out the window now at this point. But like during the pandemic, I had to be very creative with my workouts, and I live in an area in LA called Silver Lake, and it's very hilly, so I run and
Silver Lake, I remember.
Yeah, and so to do my round, I mean, and to get more into it, I talked to a lot of people at X3 Expo that. Because you're around people that you haven't seen, but I said, hey, listen, these last 2 years have really done and I'm speaking for a lot of people, I think they'll agree, is that, it's wreaked havoc
Stress.
on your mental health, and, not to be a cliche or anything like that, but
Look at Putin.
yeah, I mean, to add,
Take it well.
here's the thing. I knew this was gonna, come up, and
He
I mean,
didn't take it well.
and I'll get you into an interesting thing, because I have a very quirky mind too. It's a good combination of perv and a quirk. You don't get that very often. So you got the bonus plan today. So. Allegedly we're out of COVID right now, allegedly, but masks are still being worn, even in Orange County, which is like Republican of California. Mm-hmm. And it's best to take precautions. I'm triple vaxxed. I mean, I have, I'm more of, I tried to play it really safe, during this thing. But now we're in this thing where there's talk about fucking World War III, and I think a lot of it is muscle flexing, but so like a few nights ago, I turned my partner into this film, and I saw it when I was, in my earlier teens, and it's a British film of the BBC, and it's called Threads. Have you seen this?
No.
No, I have not.
It's even on YouTube, so I mean, you can see it on Roku, YouTube, or whatever. And it's probably, and it was done in a very modest budget. I want to say 400 English pounds. Now,
wow.
And I mean, but it's the most realistic film that's ever been done about like a nuclear war and the aftermath. And it takes place, it goes in even maybe 10, 13 years after the nuclear exchange. And it's
you ever get the feeling that since there hasn't actually been numerous bombings, nuclear bombings, that all the pictures and the CGI stuff, it's all been kind of romanticized. We don't actually know what
we don't know
it looks like, or right? Unless it looks like Jiggy right now, I could see hello.
That's right.
Paralyzed by the picture. Threads is the name of the film.
Threads, yeah.
I got to go look this up.
Yeah, you'll be tripping. It's the kind of movie that if you watch it before you go to sleep, do it at your own discretion, and
like my dreams could get any worse.
It'll stick with you, man. Like a really bad pizza that you kind of burp up, like the next day, man. It's one of those things that it'll stick with you. You'll be thinking about it, and I have a photographic memory, so, which could also be a curse, it can be a blessing, it can be a curse, but I think that, it's just,
Erikka, can I ask you a question? So, beginning of COVID, and Jiggy, I think you did have this on one of the shows at one time, but, did you, or are you, let me phrase it that way, are you benefiting on any of, the COVID blessings, I'm going to say, nobody looks at it as blessings, but, like cryptocurrency, if you got in, when you got in, you're getting blessed.
Right.
Or any of the other stocks. And if so, what stocks have you, give us a little taste, could you? Have you stocks? No, because I'm kind of into them, but I mean, there's a big one that is just.
Yeah, have you had any of this stuff where because for instance, when the pandemic started, I was I find this funny that I'm going to be using one of his phrases with him on the line, but I was busier than a goat in a hailstorm, and and. So have you had that? Have you had, did you get into the crypto and stock market and all this stuff, and were you busy?
I've been investing for a long time, even back when I was like a mainstream model, I money that I made from there, I mean it did well for me. I mean I took care of my mom. That gets very expensive, and so I think, for people, I'm kind of old school that I think that you need to be diversified when you're the one thing is that I know like there's a lot of cryptos out there that are kind of worthless because it's not backed up by anything.
Yeah.
But I know like even Putin I know loves it. The South Koreans love it. I did a little bit of investing a few years back on it, and I mean the thing is that I didn't want to take any risks, and I think I'm at the point where I have stuff that's very conservative, and then there's stuff where I can do some more speculation on it. And
Well, if the price of those giraffes go up, you're going to really be in the money there. Where did you get?
The only reason why I had brought that up is because you were talking about the film and then World War III.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the stocks, actually, significantly enough, speaking of, is I wondered, did you get in? Now, I knew about it before, and I was going on to Jiggy, and then a mutual friend of ours that stocks, Mr. Come on, he's the other rapper that I like there in town, Wichita. You know who I'm talking about, Jig?
No, I do not, because there's 50,000 rappers in Wichita, Kansas. Just like there probably is in L.A. 50,000 rappers everywhere.
yeah.
But I met him over there at the dungeon of not. No, I'm
The
joking.
dungeon.
The dungeon.
No,
What?
This is the one that I used to work at.
But anyway.
Crowded gym.
The
Crowded
stock I was talking about is I know. The stock I was talking about is the quantum glass battery.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the Teslas. It's in the pacemakers.
Oh, okay.
It's
okay. I know what you're talking
and
about.
a lot of more medical equipment, and that battery is like the battery, like the last battery.
Just keeps on going, huh?
Right, and it's also supposed to be, able to withstand the EMPs. So that's why I brought it up, because that you brought up the war, and I'm like, hey, I love that stock. I'm just saying I put quite a bit on there.
The war and heart batteries. The war and heart batteries. How did you put those two together?
No, it's not hard batteries. It's the quantum glass battery,
so
because it's indestructible. I mean, it's
It's indestructible. So your heart keeps beating, but you die or you burn up into a cinder or what? How does that work?
And the batteries are just still here.
The batteries last.
Like the cockroaches, the meek batteries shall inherit the earth.
War, the end of time, blah, blah, blah. The batteries and everything. You're going to last forever. Goonies never say
civilization of the cockroaches, though.
That's right. Now, Erikka, something that got lost there in all that was Katola was asking a question about where'd you get the giraffes?
This was my partners and they had it and it came in from I want to say Thailand, I think, and they had a business and they dealt with this and we have our art and I have a lot of my stuff upstairs, different period pieces and
How are they standing? We can't see it in this. Are they?
A couple of them are on.
They have a base or something. Look at this.
Okay, here we go.
These are fascinating things.
Yeah, so they're like on the chest. And,
okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
I thought they were. Oh.
So
I really did.
How did you transition from being a mainstream model into doing what you're doing now?
Well, I think as I got into my late 20s, you're considered ancient back in those days, even in like in the 90s, and and I was doing theater and actually in Chicago. I'm really trying to make Exotica, by the way, and I can't guarantee it right now at the moment. I think this week is going to really be on the test tail. And, it's funny, we do Airbnb at my house right here, and which we just started opening up. So, because I'll say one thing is that, even if you were in the market, and then we'll get off the market, but it was like in the beginning part, we all took a lot of hits, but now I think things are starting to, even in spite of what you may read and everything like that, now's the time to, really, work it up a little bit. But anyway, to get back to that, it was, so doing that and I've, ended up working out, where I'm doing like, industrial films and doing a lot of theater and then working my way up where, I'm like an under 5 player and then, doing a lot of indie film and writing and you get to the point where it's like, okay, I want to get into producing. And I
Yes.
took so many shitball jobs, but that got me on set. And so I got to work on a lot of good sets and, learn a lot and, learn,
awesome.
a lot about lighting and, different various things. And I think it all kind of ties in. I think there'll come a time, if I stick around this industry, I'd probably do a lot.
I think the time has come because she
It
just
froze.
froze. What time was she talking about?
It is.
Erikka.
That's
Erikka.
awesome. Erikka,
Yeah,
are you still with us, my friend? Your Skype, I think,
Audio and video.
hiccuped on you.
She'd been giraffed.
She's been giraffed. That's awesome.
Look at this. Yeah, she's definitely
There she
there,
is.
Erikka.
Your
Lost
Skype hiccuped on us.
The satellite.
Yeah. Okay. Where did we get cut off at?
You were in set. You were on the set, and you were writing and
Yeah. And, and during that time period and, just kind of leading into how I got into the adult industry. But, if you go back to like, say the early 2000s as a, when you're raising capital or whatever, it was so much easier to do. And then as we got closer to the financial crises, then, it was like, a lot of people are like, hey, this may not be a good investment. And, I learned from other producers. I mean, they would do even boiler room tactics, and, to get, investors and so forth. And it worked back then, even though I believe it's highly illegal, but, but anyway, I mean, as the saying goes, it's like little by little. And I got to the point where I just, I left LA, I was paying close to $3,000 a month for my place, and
Wow.
which I loved, but I ended up working on this like European thriller and doing some writing on it and producing and but it was like a very stressful thing, a lot of long hours and just a lot of disagreements with people, and I said I got to the point where it's like I think I did production maybe one more time after that, and I just said no, no mas. But the writing, the creative part, I really love, and I did a screenplay about the time that when I first got into the BDSM part of the industry, and so I wrote a screenplay about that. And the thing is that here in the States it would get an NC-17 rating,
Yeah.
but in Canada it would get an R rating.
Mm-hmm.
And
So
there
you
was
let
certain things
after
artistically I wanted to keep it that way. And
so you said when you left LA because the rent expenses were. Where did you went overseas? You said you did a foreign. You left.
yeah, I was in Belgium and with some friends, and I've lived in Europe as well, and so yeah, it was good to get like into a different environment for a little bit, and
Got to eat waffles every morning, though, don't you? Don't they eat
Stroop
waffles?
waffle, yeah, they're pretty good. Actually, in Belgium, you have really good waffles, the best. You won't want to have waffles are great anywhere. They're the one thing. Even when it's bad, it's not bad.
If we learn nothing else today, we will learn that waffles. That's why they have waffle houses. Do you have waffle houses in Belgium?
Waffle houses, you
Camel.
you have like little cafes, but there's this brand called Belhoefere, and they're like the best waffles in Belgium, and you can go up to like a stand or to a window there and buy them, and even like at kiosks and whatnot, and they're very tasty.
Yeah, I
You can just walk down the street having a waffle,
Make me hungry.
If you eat too many, you can just get
awesome.
one of those batteries.
Yeah.
Keep it going so you can eat more waffles.
That's right.
Mhm.
We have got a great guest joining us. It is top of the second hour. Thanks for joining us here on our Sunday radio broadcast. We have got a great show ahead here on kjagradio.com. Of course, 990 WBOB in Rhode Island, of all places. The Mix on Tuesdays, and of course, live video on our website, jiggyjaguar.com, kjagradio.com, and of course, Oh, the Facebook. We're live on the Facebook. And we have the Bard of Broadcasting, Frank Catolo, with us. And of course, the legendary Bunny is back with us. Lena is going through her rapper phase today. She's got her do-rag on, and she looks like a gangster rapper. And then, of course, we have Erikka Ryko with us. Erikka, you are just tremendous. You are the perfect perv magnet for this show today.
Yeah.
And
Hey, I'm doing my part, you know.
I'm doing my part.
So a lot of people's parts as far as
So one of the things that the last time we had Frank on as our special co-host, we were scheduled to have a bunch of porn chicks on, and they just started dropping like flies. I don't know what was going on. One of them would have computer issues. One of them would have all sorts of issues. And Frank was telling me later on, he's like, I've got so many questions to ask these adult people.
these adult people. Yeah, yes, I'm underage.
Yeah, we want to get into the good stuff.
Adult people.
So Catolo,
I do. I want to ask. Yeah, I want to ask.
Go.
There's one very. We've talked about it on my show, and we've talked to a number of people about this. But since porn went very independent, you know, with the OnlyFans and every Fansly and all the other stuff, the market is so flooded. There are so many people. I can't believe the volume that is now available, and that leads to one thing. It's like, when does this dry up? Because how many people are in this audience? You know what you must know what I'm talking about. Right?
Exactly, and it's a very good question. And you know, as myself, I mean, I have, you know, during the pandemic, I've rationed the content, and I see a lot out there, you know, and it's like, you know, when I look at my feed, when I go on to say Twitter, it's like I look at so many gaping assholes, and I'm like, you know, but
Yeah,
yes, I do as well. So
that was a poem that I wrote, by the way. But yeah, you know, and
has anybody done a study where, like, how does one person have 13 accounts? You see what I'm saying? I think less people right now than as an audience, and there are performing. So there must be a number of people. There must be an audience that really spends a lot of time, because they must subscribe to a lot of things, right? I don't know, anyone?
Yeah, you have to be a chronic masturbator, to be doing that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a
Malacca
audience. Let's face it. So, you know, when I say this, you know, when does it dry up? I don't mean it as a metaphor.
You know, I can't jerk off to that much, you know. And,
yeah, it's like, what? So does anybody know, like, how many followers? How many people are paying for each one of these things? Who do you think is the biggest draw right now in that genre of digital porn?
You know, it's really hard to say, because I mean, you know, there's a lot of them. They look great on the net, but you know, a lot of them are not. I doubt they're selling the way that they're talking. You know, and
but they're selling.
But you know, you have to hype yourself out there. You know, and
how many do you need to make a general living? Do you think? Like, let's say it's like, what's the average? Maybe what, $5 a month, or is that?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of varies with that. And you know, the other thing was that, you know, I've had moments where I do, you know, kind of good at it, and there's times where, you know, even during the pandemic, my head was just like not fucking into it. And you know, pre-pandemic, it's like I was, you know, doing regular, you know, I started, you know, doing shoots, and then after that, I went on tour. So I was in London, so I didn't shoot anything, and then I did like another month in Vancouver, and then I didn't go to the AVN that year, where I shot a lot of fucking content. But
do you know anybody who is still in porn who doesn't have an OnlyFans page or something?
And that's what a lot of them are shooting for, you know, like OnlyFans or many vids, and until things really fully open up again, I think.
Yeah, but do you think there'll be that many people, an audience big enough to keep everybody? there's no numbers with this thing. You know, I mean, how many people are entering the theater today? 10 or 20 or 100 more possibilities for subscriptions. I can't believe how many there are.
Yeah, I think if you establish regulars, who are loyal to you and they like what you're doing,
They can't.
they like your brand, that goes a long way. It's always a challenge to get, say, even as a dominatrix, it was always a challenge to get, more clients and yeah, I think only that particular performer, really knows, when they look at their earnings. But I think,
yeah, well,
it's a very dicey thing, and
it's a bubble. I think,
but I think at the same time, people are always going to have their urge. They're going to want to look at something, because the more they masturbate something, they're going to lose that sensation to it, and that, ooh, feels so good because it's the first time. They say there's nothing good like the first time. Same thing applies to jerking off too.
As a business, though, it just looks like there's going to be a.
It is a business,
big bubble burst. Yeah, a lot of people are going to, because they're all ages. I mean, they're legal, but they're all ages. They're
definitely, yeah.
Everybody's doing. So anyway, that's what I wanted to know. And I guess till we get some hard numbers, if you'll pardon the expression,
I agree.
We get some hard numbers, we're going to figure this out. It's just amazing that nobody's doing it, and everybody's just, because anybody can go on, right? Anybody can just have an OnlyFans page, no matter what you want to do, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's women who just have their nudes and doing their fucking selfies with their ass hanging out and so it's all different kinds. I think it's kind of like what webcamming was done maybe a few years back. I did webcamming for Kink Live and did pretty good at it at that time, and I was also working as a dominatrix. So
yeah.
I think it all depends on what your brand is and
yeah, well, I mean, just in general, though. I mean, I'm sure there are good ones and bad ones, just like any other particular theater. But I'm just waiting for something to happen somewhere along the line. Because there's nothing else. There's a million people out there writing songs, right? But how many people are making a penny off of it, right? So
in this day and age, it's really hard to do, and I mean, you got to tour a lot and.
Yeah, but the poor thing and the only
thing,
people are saying they're making a living. So I'm just wondering what's going to happen, and you being in the industry, you know people who have OnlyFans, right? Do you know someone who doesn't have an OnlyFans or one of those types?
Yeah. Do you know anybody in the industry that isn't doing that?
Doesn't have an OnlyFans? No, absolutely not. Everybody has an OnlyFans in the industry.
Some kind of
Sex Panther and. But Sex Panther is pretty good too, And...
Well, I just don't know how this is going to affect anything.
Because they get that interaction there.
Oh.
Yes. So Erikka, between all the stuff you did, way back in the day up until now, what's been the most fun?
Yeah.
The most fun, I think, the one part is, creating and see what I created on a legal pad, and then seeing it maybe at a film festival, playing at various theaters on screen, and the funny thing is that I have a comedy that it's an independent film that's going to be doing a lot of festivals, and so I'll probably write that out, because as time goes on, more and more people, and I've had people from mainstream that ended up seeing some of my stuff on the net, that's out there, that's been like mass produced, like it was just, and it's like look, I signed the model release, I knew what I was doing, and I knew that I would do pretty decent if I got into it. A lot of people said, even years ago, they said, yeah, you would do really well at it if you did it, But, for a long time, I wanted to work in mainstream, and I wanted to do other things artistically or creatively, and I've been able to accomplish that. And I think when I entered into it, it went to the point, it was after 2008 financial crises, and when that happened, there was less and less work. There was less and less stuff getting greenlit, and I said maybe I should, venture into that. And I had some connections, and I was able to, get hired at Sanctuary LAX. And so doing that, one thing always leads to another.
Yes. One thing to another. Sorry, songs.
I remember the fix very well. Yeah.
Are we having a musical interlude?
Apparently.
Erica, did you notice, like, I mean, I've seen some trends all reverting back to the 80s. I mean, what was, I mean, you're 51. So what was your favorite of doing what you do and all of that?
What categories? You mean trends?
Like your era, kind of. What,
Yeah, were you more, did you enjoy the 80s more? Or?
I think everything had its time. I mean, the 80s, you're growing up, you're trying to find out, who you are. And then in the 90s, you're doing your thing a little bit, but I don't think you really know everything, in your 20s. And then you get into your 30s, you start looking at things a little bit differently. Then you get into your 40s, you look into everything. And then you get into your 50s, and
you don't know. You just started. You just started, so you got to wait for the 50s evaluation, right?
Yeah, I mean, I just got there, so I have to, really think about, give me a few years into it, and then.
Well, you'll have to come back.
Okay,
The show isn't that long.
A lot more.
That's awesome. Well, I will have to say that this has been a long time coming. I have been wanting to get you on for a while here, Erikka. This has definitely been a
everything
blast.
Worked out, so you can do it.
So
now.
Yeah.
Where do we find you now? What list of links to find you're doing now, Erikka?
Well, I have my OnlyFans. I'm just getting ready to get back into things right now. And so I need to get some more content, and get me at Twitter at Erikka with 2 Ks, like I said earlier, RIJKS, and same thing for Instagram too, and Facebook, like right in here, and I guess the whole Erikka Ryko thing is like just I've had to do a lot of things on it, but it's cool,
So you were in Canada for a little while, you said?
Yeah, I spent a lot of time in Toronto, yeah. Vancouver. I did a lot of theater and...
Nice. Jiggy, we had, she was doing some porn, wasn't she? The young lady that also gets paid to rate men's...
We had a woman in Canada, of all places, where she's carved out a little niche by basically getting paid to rate men's penises.
Yeah, I've had subscribers want me to rate their penis, and I'm perfectly honest, and one person, really didn't like it, and I said, look, look, I'm not going to lie to you, I gave you what you wanted, and...
Well, that's kind of subjective, isn't it? I mean, yes, right? I mean, we could all own guitars, but who plays the best, right? It doesn't matter, does it?
Yeah, art's very subjective,
Well, I mean, that was kind of my point he was asking earlier. I know there's not really no amount that you can make in where, things have kind of ventured. But like you said, just keeping creative, staying busy, there's always a way.
You see giraffes in movies and everything, but I don't think I've ever seen a giraffe penis. Have you?
No, I've never seen a giraffe penis.
Right. That's a. I mean, they're so tall up there. It would hang very low, wouldn't it?
I would say so.
Should be able to see it. I mean, if their neck is that long, maybe they suffer in longevity in other parts of their body.
I can't believe that we've gone all the way around And now we're talking about giraffe
She said
penis.
just said rating penises. She didn't say just human penises, right?
Yes. That's,
Okay.
So Erikka, do you do interracial stuff, lesbianism stuff? Or?
Yes, I mean, I think I'm fairly pansexual, and the funny thing was I was supposed to do an interracial shoot a few weeks ago, and then it got moved to Las Vegas, and I think I haven't traveled since pre-pandemic, but like I say, I can go in a lot of directions and make it believable. Like if I'm doing a very stern dom, or if I'm doing a hardcore scene, I think I have that ability. I have that range. And I think, and I'm not saying, oh, well, I can, I mean, there's others that can do it too, but, when I see certain people, like, I have that image of them just doing that whole hot wife thing, and they're really not, maybe they do it for a photo shoot or something, but it's like, when I see them trying to do the dom thing, it's like, stop, I mean, it's hard to look at, it's what's the analogy I'm looking for here, but it's,
Yeah, I got another question. If you want to move on there,
Go.
it has to do pretty much with what you're talking about. And that is choice of people. How do you do audition certain people for certain acts, or do you what I mean? How do you choose who will be your co-star or co-stars in a porn? Keep saying porn. I look for a different,
Well, it was really funny because now that we're in more of a content, era, and I've been exchanging a few emails, and whatever texts or whatever, because if I do go to Exotica Chicago, and again, it's really 50-50, I would have a few shoots that I've been talking about, and some would really help my brand. But I think that
how do you choose? I mean, maybe.
But yeah, I'm very picky because it's like, look, I have to sell it, and being on Twitter, I'm shadow banned as fuck. I mean, they have the fucking warning, labels on it, and it's like, I'm wondering if my tweets are getting to really where I need to be getting them, and
because I heard this once. I heard from a prolific porn actor. I guess we call them actors.
yeah.
And she had said she's very comfortable doing interracial sex.
Yeah.
Because they know all the people. They know the guy. There's only a certain amount of guys doing it. And they know them, and they're all, they can communicate at this level. So,
yeah, exactly.
Fine. So, but then again, you have those guys. What about another guy who wanted to get in? I mean, who chooses the ones who aren't, or the newer ones, or how do you do that? Or you just choose someone by sight, by performance? How do you audition them? It's for a part.
I think what it is I think your reputation is everything. I get scouting reports, and then there's some people that I communicate, and then I find out there was one particular alleged talent, and then I heard that he shot a dog, while the dog was in a cage, and it made the news, and I'm thinking, holy fucking shit, this is somebody I was thinking about, doing some content with. And pre-pandemic, I had an agent who was booking me, so that had a lot, and I really wasn't thinking. I shot a little bit of content here and there, but it really wasn't, my thing. I was making more money, as a dominatrix and co-hosting some events, and then I was making content. And
well, content is interesting because you know how it's done in movies and wherever else. Some people have agents, right? You wonder, man. If you look at a porn where there's many people, you look at an orgy type thing. And I know this is weird, but I mean, I know I have to look. Where did they get? How did that get? Why that job? Why is this person in that one and that one? How do they do it? Like from a production point of view, from an artistic view, like how is this done? How do you do it? Is what it obviously.
Yeah,
You mean putting everything together, and it's.
Well, in terms of talent, how do you if you need 5 people tomorrow because you wrote a scene with 5 people, what do you do next?
Well, the people that I would collaborate, again, I'm a lot newer at it, and
Well, how'd they pick you when you were doing?
well, I think, so far I think people know what I bring to the table,
So
I
they
do-
called you and said, "Hey, you want to be in the scene with?"
An email, like if you're producing, right? Is that what?
You were breaking up, like I couldn't understand.
Yeah, you're breaking up there, Lena.
Sorry, are you producing, Erica?
Still
Yeah,
breaking
are you producing your own content, or are you just?
I haven't really done a lot of it right now because the pandemic and everything, and I'm just getting back into it. And I did go to X3 Expo, and really it was a really great networking experience. I missed the award show because I was so beat up. I'm not being used to being around that many people. So I think that might be going on in the future now. But it helps to have do some studio shoots, and that helps sell your content a little bit too. As your brand builds up, and that's part of it, building up your brand.
And so, if you were looking for actors for your set,
Mm-hmm.
What would, especially if it's somebody new coming, because I have people, because they've seen some that I've interviewed, some of you guys, and they're like, well, how did they get into that? And so here, I'm going to throw that at you. So what would you like to see if you were wanting something new and fresh?
Mm-hmm.
What could I suggest to like a few people that I know, guys and girls? Would you want photo shoots, pictures of them sent and to audition?
Yeah, if you were gonna be making your own content,
Yeah.
how
Exactly.
would people?
They can send me links. I had somebody send me links and photos, or they give me a free subscription to their OnlyFans, and I can look at what they what kind of stuff that they crank out, and that helps, and sometimes when you're exchanging, you see how they present themselves, how professional they are. I had one where it was like, hey, I want to do a scene with you, and and it was like, it's like, because one thing I'm not really into is like I see the women being like choked or something, and it's like,
Oh, yeah.
you're not going to do that to a dominatrix. And if anything, you might need that set, with
Well, that guy would have a bad agent if he would send you. We'd send a dominant person to a.
Yeah, because the thing is it's like, unless you're.
Sounds like a video game, right? To me.
I'll tell you something. There's very few people. I know the whole gratification of being choked out, and I've had people who are really skilled at it, and I've taken classes on it. So I would say, unless you're really skilled at the art of breath play, don't do it, because I tell you what, I'm waiting for the day where they're shooting a scene like that where the male talent's doing that, and she finally just fucking croaks, and that male talent's gonna be like a fucking murder suspect now.
Isn't that just death deprivation? Isn't that just breath deprivation? I can't even say
deprivation.
Isn't that
yes.
just breath?
Yeah, it cuts off the supply to the brain. Yes, definitely.
Yeah, okay. That's what pot does too, by the way.
It's the one BDSM move that, even if done properly, you could actually die from it.
Sure.
Wow.
Absolutely, you could die of
Because your brain has certain signals, and if it's not getting, that supply going on.
Yeah, sex is dangerous. I've always known that.
You mean, I've had it done from somebody who's really skilled at it, and I gotta say, it's really amazing. I totally get that whole, being choked out thing, and to experience that, it's amazing.
It is.
I see
So we have got our great guest with us today. So as we wrap up here, Erikka, with you, how do we get in touch with you online and social media and everything before we get to our next guest here?
I would imagine you could just spell your name and just put it in a search engine, and 30,000 things would come up, right?
Yeah, you know what? If you Google Erikka Ryko porn with 2 Ks and say XXX or porn, I mean everything, even my Twitter will come up.
Look at that. So you are.
Who's in front of their computer? Google that right now. If you Google it,
I will do this. I will do this right now. We will. Okay, so if I go to Google and I type in Erikka Ryko,
Ryko.
yes, and
say porn or XXX.
I just had to do Erikka Ryko, and it pulled up your Twitter. It pulled up your interview on Patrick's show on Jizz Talking. It pulled up your interview with Dangling After Dark, and it pulled up your OnlyFans. So
I just Googled it, and I lost half my RAM.
If you do the porn, it has all the stuff that was like produced, you know. And
that's awesome.
It's like on all those like sites, you know, and you know, it's like, look, I signed the contract, and you know.
There you go.
Well,
So,
Erikka,
I mean, again, and now that everything's starting to open up again, and you know, unless we get vaporized by a nuclear cloud or something, you know, I'll be shooting fairly soon, and you know, I want to get that momentum that I had pre-pandemic. I mean, March 2020, I was going to be shooting a lot, you know, and.
Well, if you make it to Chicago or Rosemont, Illinois.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to be going into town. I mean, I used to live there, and I did a lot of theater there, so.
But
it's a great town.
If you make it to the Exotica next month, you let me know, and
definitely.
I will be there with my Christmas suits and all my craziness, and
all right.
Hopefully the bunny will make the trip. And I'm still trying to con Catolo into coming. So
that'll be fun. I mean, it's a fun town. I mean, I told a few people if I can make it out. I know a lot of really good blues clubs, and
oh, that would be even better. I would go out. Yeah, I would go out on the town with you, and you could take us to all the different sites. I think that would be fantastic.
Yeah, definitely. Because I know the area. I mean, I did a lot of location scouts there back in the day, and along with that, and. It's a very photogenic town. Get your cameras out, you know.
That's awesome. Well, Erikka, thanks for doing this. We're going to move on to our next guest, but I definitely want to talk to you again. Thanks for doing this, and thanks for chatting with us.
Thank you for having me. It's great, meeting everyone, and we'll do it again very soon.
Definitely. Well, Erikka, have yourself a good Sunday, my friend.
You too. Have a great one.
Thank you. There she goes. That is Erikka Ryko, and I think we have Owls and Aliens with us.
Owls and Aliens.
I don't see any owls and I don't see any aliens.
The invisible aliens.
Maybe they're the invisible aliens. I don't know.
Can you guys hear us?